distribute them to let folks know.
400.
We just left Belton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, while we wait for Krista to arrive, Mr. Devine, if you want to come up to the podium.
Good evening, everybody. Everybody's good? Pardon my lateness, coming from another community meeting. Didn't make Belmont, but that's on the list to go to. I am Jamie Devine. For those of you who don't know, Richland 1 Board of School Commissioner, seat 2, which represent you all here. I'm your local district representative, and then we also have 3 at-large persons that represent you. So on the school board, in Richland 1, you have 4 different representatives that represent you. But I want to come. I had a conversation with your president some time ago and wanted to come and kind of have an education night or just talk about education here in Richland 1. We're about 500 square miles across the district. We're the 8th, 9th, sometimes 10th largest district in the state of South Carolina. Our budget is about $400 plus $1,000, $400 million. I'm sorry, $400 million, $400 million, not $1,000, $400 million. It's almost $500 million. We haven't made it there yet. This is my 15th year being on the school board. This is our 5th year of no tax increase, no millage increase. So we have not asked for or raised taxes in the last 5 years. So we've been good stewards of your money. We are AAA rated school district. We have one of the top credit ratings in the state of South Carolina. And so we're very proud of that. Some other good things that we're doing here. Many of you know Eau Claire High School. We had the CDL program. With that program this past year, we did move that to the Hayward Career Center because there was so much ask and so much need for it, and we took it to Hayward Career Center. We are going to put a program back. I did talk to the superintendent before I came here today, this evening, and we're going to put a program back. We don't know what program just yet, but as soon as we do, we'll let you all know. Probably looking at something in real estate. We probably have every cluster, every industry in our school districts across this district. But real estate is one that has not been tapped in Richland 1. I don't think it's been tapped really across the state and much less across the country. And so we see a need for real estate. We know that Columbia's growing. We know that South Carolina's growing. And so we want to make sure that our young people are equipped with the skills and options and opportunities to go into real estate, whether it's investing, whether it's selling, whether it's buying, whether it's developing, which is what I do every day in the affordable housing arena. So we want to make sure that those young people have those opportunities to do that as well. These are some older brochures that I brought. In just a few months, you all would get the fall 2023 Spotlight 1, Richland 1. We pass this out every year. We did a community survey. Back in 2014-15 during our annual strategic plan. And the community said, we don't know what's going on in the district. So here's one of the 3 publications that we produce and publish every year. Every citizen in Richland County, Richland 1, gets that. And then we also have our magnet program brochure that we also put out as well. Once a year, we put this out in, I believe in February, March, when we do transfers. Students have opportunity to go to other programmatic transfers within the district. We also have another spotlight that we do mid-year. Again, these are some older ones that we've done. And so this one when we did our stadiums several years ago. We completed all of our stadiums and athletic fields across the district without a bond from you all to ask you all for additional monies. We had some money saved, and we wanted to make sure that we got those out. And then lastly, our 3rd publication is what we call the Spotlight, end of the year. You all should have gotten this, one of these throughout the summer. If you didn't get one, let me know. I'll try to get you one again. This is the older one that we have. Talk about the accomplishments that we've had over the previous year as well. I will say I'm very proud to serve on this board. Over the last, again, I've been on 15 years, the last 10 years, our graduation rate has increased to one of the highest that we've ever had. I think we're at 87, 88%, which is the highest for an urban school district across the country. So that means that majority of our students graduate, and then we now are doing surveys to find out where they're going. Are you going to college? Are you going to military? Are you going into a career? Because we want to know, what are we preparing you for? We're preparing you, but the question becomes, what are we preparing you for? So we want to make sure that we continue to do that. And then lastly, again, we have a legislative platform, as we do with our State House members. We have a tripo where we go and meet with our legislators once a quarter, and we tell them what things that we need as a district. And so we pass this out to them as well. And so with that said, we continue to have vacancies as any job and industry has. And if you all know of anyone who needs a job and needs some employment, we are here to help. Bus drivers that are desperately needed. We've had to cancel a few trips for some of our students to go on various learning experiences for our young people, because we don't have enough bus drivers, but we have enough for our daily routes, and we triple route buses in Richland 1. We've been doing that for several years, so we want to make sure that all of our students get to where they need to go without extra funds being spent from the parents going forward. So if you know anyone who's need a job, need to be a bus driver, please let us know. We are desperately needing some bus drivers, and we appreciate any of your support. So with that said, I'm going to end my portion. I don't want to keep you guys up too long, because I've been to several of these tonight myself. Are there any questions for me regarding Richland School District 1? Yes, ma'am. So the information, so I can tell you the data from the previous 2 years. We do have that data out. Typically, English tends to increase, and over the last 2 years, English has increased. Math, believe it or not, in Richland 1, we were one of 2 or 3 districts across the state where we increased math. Nationally, math scores went down. But because we put some things in place just before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and after the pandemic, we've seen those scores increase. And so I like to say that staff did that. The board didn't do it. We just gave the money to the superintendent so that he could hire the right people. With those, we have math interventionists and reading interventionists in our schools. So they almost get like a double, sometimes a triple dose of the services or the math or reading that they need. I will say this, the new scores are out, but the embargo, of course, I can't say anything about it, but I will say that we will be pleasantly pleased with the scores for Richland School District 1 coming up. I will say that. But just from the pandemic, I mean, that's really across the country. And I'll tell people, you can't look at 2019 and back scores, because there's nothing to compare it to, because there wasn't a pandemic prior to that. I would say look at 21 scores going forward, and those are better comparisons to where we are and where we need to be as a school district. In our strategic plan, which is what we control as a board, we went to the community. Our new plan will be coming out, so some of you may be getting a call from the district to serve on that committee. For us, our strategic plan is in 2024, so 2025 to 2029, I think is every 4 years. It's going to be coming up. It's every 5, so 2024 plus 5 is 29, yeah. So that will be coming up. Particularly, we're going to look at the pandemic numbers and where we are and those things that we need to move forward. Let me also mention something else. Some of you also may be called to help us on the calendar committee. Our calendar committee has met. I serve as the board liaison on the calendar committee. We're looking at what we call a modified calendar or year-round school. That's a big thing across the country. We got to get away from this agrarian way of doing the calendar. We go to school for 9 months, then we out for 3. We're just not in that era anymore, so we got to push forward. So when you hear that, some of you may be called to give your input, and we appreciate that, and particularly when it comes to surveys. We need to hear what the parents and what the community has to say about those. But you will see a push towards modified calendars. Fairfield County has it, Aiken County has it, Greenwood County has it, Edgefield County has it. I think Kershaw, but you'll see across the state, other districts doing it as well. I saw a hand over here. Let me go over here, then I'm gonna come back. Yes, sir.
I guess my question is, if it all sounds good,
Yes, sir.
what's the biggest problem?
Right now, personnel, right now, I think this is my opinion, because of the negative publicity as it pertains to public education. I think we're seeing a lot of people leaving the industry to go on to do other things. And they get paid just as much with less headache and less stress. I think if you're in teaching now, it's truly a ministry, it's truly a calling. Just like public service and what we do, it's truly a calling. You have to be in it with these young people, because people are just leaving. I know some retirees who are right around my age. They bought their time out because they did not want to go back to the classroom. It's just, it is tough since the pandemic. It has hurt every industry across the country. But if folk can leave, we've seen teachers just leave because they were just tired. The mental anxiety, just the mental issues that come along with being in education and just dealing with people in general. I think that's one reason why we need to do the calendar. There is no, let me be real clear, there is no proven scientific data that shows year-round versus the agrarian calendar we have now makes a difference in student scores. But I believe it helps with our personnel and with our people, because you have more breaks.
I think exactly the opposite. I think that a teacher by the 1st of May is on life support, and if they get to June 1st and they don't have to look at a kid until August, that's what they live for.
But right, but so let me add to that. So you have more breaks, if you will. You'll see more breaks in the school year. So you know how we typically go to school 9 months, not 9 weeks, and have a break, right? So you'll see maybe you go to school for 4 to 5 weeks, you have a break. And then you go to the end of the nine weeks, that's the end of the quarter. Then you go about another 4 or 5 weeks break, and then you go to the end of the quarter. And you also want to end the school year in December versus we used to end of the first semester in January, which was crazy. You would go to school August, and then you would end the semester in January. That's crazy, because you had to do 180 days. So 180 divided by 2 is what? 90. So the way the calendar was set up in years past, we were in school, in the semester 2 weeks after you come back from a 2-week break. That just didn't make any sense to us. So now what we've done as a district, and we can do this, we've shortened our first semester by 10 days to make it end in December. And then when the students come back in January, they start fresh for second semester. Okay, just a little tweaks that we've done, and we noticed an increase for some of our staff and some of our students. Now, let's be clear. This won't happen overnight. This takes time, but that's why I'm coming to the community meetings to just give everybody a heads up. I'm not the end all be all, but I want to share the information so that, and there'll be other community meetings.
Do you think teachers want to have a year-round schedule?
Oh, yes, sir. I hear it. Yes, sir. And we've done so, and we no.
Tell you they want to teach 12 months out.
We have surveys. Don't just take my words. Again, this is part of the calendar committee. You will see that information come out when Dr. Witherspoon puts everybody back together. Because school just started, so he hasn't activated the calendar committee yet. Based off what we did last year, yes, sir. We've had a number of teachers that wanted to have the year-round school.
So, in these exit interviews with teachers, they just say they're just burned out, they just don't want to be teachers anymore? Is that why they're leaving the profession?
So I don't have all the of course, information in front of me, but I'd be glad to bring it back. They did present it to us in a board report. I just don't have it with me today, but I'd be more than happy to bring you back the information. bring the group back the information.
If you want to come back and talk again?
Sure.
I think, I'm certainly interested.
Yeah. Madam President, you let me know, and whatever the questions are, I'd be glad to.
I think, kind of the sense I have is that there's a big discipline problem in classrooms, and teachers are not being supported by administrators, and that's why they want to get out of the class.
Well, that is also a part of it.
It's paid for. Everybody I know that has gotten out of teaching is paid for.
Right.
Right.
So you have a myriad of things. So let me say I agree with all of you. So there's a myriad of things that happen. There's not one. That's why I hesitated when he asked the question. What's the one thing? It's a conjunction of a lot of things that have happened systematically over the years, and systematically because it took us a long time to get to where we are. It'll take us some time to get out of it. So, Jabbar, hold on. Let me get to Miss not Madam Secretary. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Jones, thank you. The fee for summer school? Okay, the question was, will the fee for summer school decrease? From my understanding, there should not be a fee for summer school. We do a thing called Summer Soar, and we had over 13,000 of our young people this past year to attend Summer Soar. So there should not be a fee for summer school. I will say, during my 15 years being on the board, we've never charged students fees to attend school. Now, you may have fees for clubs and organizations, but you know, some school districts, they have a fee to attend school, or a fee to get a book, or a fee to just to come to school. Like when I went to school, there was a fee to go to school. So we don't have a fee here in Richland One. But if you know of anybody that's happened to, call me. Let me know. I want to look into it because I want to get a better understanding. As far as I know, we don't charge for our young people to go to school. Yes, ma'am.
My kids are grown, my grandkids are grown, they're all adults. And my children and my grandchildren all live for their summer stuff. They swam competitively. They were in the pool 8 hours a day in the summer. A couple of my grandkids work as counselors at summer camp. As a parent, at the time, I would have loved for you around school. But looking back on it, these are really important things for some kids. And how summer camps, I mean, there are church camps that have 300 kids turn over every 10 days.
Correct.
How would that impact all of it? And summer swimming is just, I'm talking year-round summer.
Correct.
I'm not talking just a
Correct.
summer league. There are kids who are involved in all kinds of sports that summer is their time to really be involved.
Yes, ma'am. So what we have to do is change our mindset and change the shift. Because what I always ask is, are we for kids or are we kidding? So in other words, are we about the children or are we about activities that we think are best for us? Let me be real clear. And I tell parents this all the time. Parents are always in charge. You can take your child out of school at any time that you want to. Now, let's be clear. From what I understand from the year-round schools in Greenville, Edgeville, Aiken, and some of these other districts, summer still is a little more relaxed. So, for example, we get out of school typically before May 31st. We've heard from parents. They want us out before Memorial Day. We've done our best every year the last 6-7 years to get us out before May 31st. Typically, Richland One is always the first district to graduate. It's always been. So with that said, I think we'll continue to get 2 weeks out, and then we'll come back, kind of like our summer soar, for 4 weeks. And then we're out for two weeks in July, right around July 4th for 2 weeks. Then we'll come back probably 2 or 3 weeks in July, and then we'll start again in August when it starts. I don't have the exact calendar in front of me, but I can bring that back to Madam President if you want me to. I'll bring back a proposed calendar from these other districts, and I'll bring back the information, Mr. Bunsen, regarding the teacher survey as well. I'd be glad to. That is public. That's public knowledge. That's public knowledge. We've discussed it in our board working. Yes, ma'am.
I think one of the things I'm interested in about it lines up with some of the other people is that, like, what adjustments will be made so that those students who use those summer months to get into the premier programs that get them scholarships,
Yes,
like club soccer and all those, because they a massive amount of money comes into those students to get them into college, that they benefit from, and then other ones who how is that all gonna work around the year-round schedule? And I know it doesn't all have to happen in the summer, well, some of it does, the swimming camp
Right.
might happen around here, we don't have a formal.
Right.
We do.
Yeah, we got USC.
Well,
We have lots.
we
Yeah,
do have a
We
normal.
have.
yeah. You got Drew Wellness and some other places too. But to answer your question, and the question was regarding those summer activities, same question this young lady asked. We got to work through those. Again, that's why I say it won't happen overnight. But we need to have these conversations so that the community can tell us expectations so that we can move forward. Again, we want to make sure students get what they need so that they can be the productive citizens that we all are now. The world's changing. We got to continue to get our young people, because state law says you've got to go to school 180 days. I think you will see that change in the next, is my opinion, 2 to 6 years. You will see take the number out, you'll see more seat time, and seat time being time that you spend in school. I don't have that number, what that number is yet, but you'll see more of that. But we have to work together as a community, because we also got to think about the daycare providers. How would that affect them? Because the kids are out for 2 weeks or 2 week intersession. How does that work? And if I'm a parent working full time, who's going to take care of my kids at Jameson and Jade? Who's going to take care of Jameson and Jade while we're out for 2 weeks, or we get a 2 week break? What happens during that time? Again, that's all part of the conversation. I just wanted to introduce it to everybody tonight. It's not going to happen 24, 25, maybe 25, 26, 26, 27. We're a bigger district. Those are smaller districts. Your Greenwoods, Edgefield, Kershaw. Those are smaller districts. I'm trying to think I guess Aiken is a larger district, about the same number of students, about 20-some thousand students. So I need to look at Aiken and see how they've done theirs as well. But again, they started a couple of years ago, so it wasn't like they just dumped it on parents or the community within a year or so.
So, Mr.
Okay.
Devine, I'm going to stop you right there, because it seems like everybody wants you back.
Okay.
We'll invite you back with Dr. Witherspoon. If anybody has additional questions for Mr. Devine, you all can have the conversation out in the hallway. We do have our other speaker here. Krista, I'm going to go ahead and invite you up so we can move forward. Thank you so much for your time.